sheriff's deputies on the border and not allow it in Fairfax
Those
County.
damn Fairfax people.
Or
Hey, but I consider Loudon to be a sanctuary for Maryland residents. For those residents that want to flee the socialist state of Maryland, I welcome each and every one of you into the free state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and more specifically Loudoun County. Now,
especially if you're going to pay your own way.
No, absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Is if you're coming over here to suck off the government tip, well, now stay over in Maryland, right? There's always the discussion on government spending money. So I'm a big government sucks. Big government sucks. Government leave me alone, and I don't need the government to succeed kind of person, right? Now, with that said, there's a proper role for government. Right, and I think the biggest problem we have, everybody, both on the left and right, they're always playing games. But the reality is, the left plays many more games, right? So it's just like in the school board, right? Every year, they come out with budgets that are so out of line with reality. See, I have no problem. I say it constantly that we need stable funding for everything, for roads, for bridges, for schools, right? For social services, all that steady funding, right? And my definition of that is budget increases every year, right, to account for inflation and population growth, right? But the reality is, like the school board comes in every year with this super inflated 3 and 4 times, population growth and inflation, and then they scream, oh, it's a $80 million budget cut. Right? They're just making it up, right? And so why, and we're going to talk about the Board of Supervisors. Why are Board of Supervisors and school board? To me, the baseline expectation is, hey, you're going to get inflation and you're going to get population increase. That's the baseline budget right there. If you get more than that, you get more, right? And if you cut it, and there are times to be cut. I'm not saying there's not inefficiencies by any means, right? But it's this budget game we play over and over again.
Well, I would suggest to you that what you're seeing here is a classic liberal versus conservative argument, because your Board of Education is pretty much managed from the left.
Yeah.
The Board of Supervisors, all Republicans, are managing from the right. Okay?
So wait, let's use this. Let's correct the term Republicans here. So they're on the Republican ticket, but I can't say they act like Republicans, right? So hey, listen. So Bruce Jenner's still a guy, right? So I don't care if he's wearing a dress, and so he may be. Some of these guys may be called Republicans, but they tax and spend with the best of them.
Well, my comparison is going to go back a little bit even more basic than that, because the left on the Board of Education is saying that the values of property in Loudoun County has gone up 20%. Therefore, our budget can go up 20%.
Yeah.
Now, that's a fallacy in thinking. You shouldn't automatically assume that there's more money, so it's mine.
Yeah.
Okay. On the other
or in their case, Loudoun County spends about, I think it's 76 cents on the dollar for education.
Well, you remember a few years ago when the Board of Supervisors kicked back the rates to account for the increase in values, so that people wouldn't have shell shock. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be any more money out of your pocket, even though the rates were not going to be higher to offset the amount of money going out. Okay. Yeah. Now, that was where your big battle came in, because the Board of Education wanted their share, what they considered their share. Now, in their defense, the Board of Education has built a lot of new buildings over the last 10 years. And I agree with that. I like the smaller high school, because I came from Fairfax County where my kids went to school. 3,000 kids in a school is not a manageable
But let me push back on that a little bit.
Sure.
The thing is, the construction budget is separate from the operational budget. Right. And so I agree. I mean, you got to fund the school. You got to build schools, right? And I'd actually, personally, I would like to see more schools that are smaller. I mean, I went to a school that had 600 kids in a high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th, right? The fact out here, I mean, it's common in Virginia to have 2,000 kids. That's insane, right?
Fairfax County has 29 high schools that are right around 3,000 apiece.
Yeah. No, that's insane. That's insane. And so I have no issues with construction monies. And the reality is, it's the same number of teachers, because you still have the same number of students per class. So if you got 3,000 kids in a school, I'm going to make the math easy for me. And you got 30 in a class, it's 1,000 teachers. If I got 3 schools, each one of them now has 1,000, kids or teachers, and you got 30. So it's the same. Now, granted, there's administrative support.
There's administrative support. There's janitors.
Which should be much smaller.
Yes, you
can
redistribute the same desks that those kids were sitting at,
Yeah.
but typically you use that opportunity to weed out the old broken down stuff and
I agree. But the reality is, so let's talk about even just janitorial services, right? So if I need 3 people to clean a 3,000 square foot place, then I only need 1 to clean 1,000. Right? The reality is, if you have double the number of schools, it doesn't cost you twice as much money. Right?
We're not looking at it from 2 different sides. I don't think we are. I'm going to give the Board of Education a little bit of latitude so that when they open a new school, which the construction budget was separate, that they're going to have some additional costs. School buses, you're going to redistribute some, but you're not going to redistribute all. So I'm going to give them a little bit, but the way I see it is the property value in this county goes up 20%. They don't get 20% more money. They might get 5.
Yeah, and again, that's why I go back to, and actually, let me say the following.
They should get 5.
But I'm going to go back to, if you have an assumption, right, that the baseline budget for the school is going to increase every year, and it's going to increase by inflation and population growth. I'm talking about student population growth.
Right.
Then all of that's a wash. The fact that I need more buses is paid for by the increase in student population. If I get 1,000 more kids, and a school bus transports 100, then I need 10 more buses, but I'm going to get money for that. Right, and so that's why for me, 99% of this would go away. The contention, man. I'm one of them. I'm getting tired, of having to fight to keep my money. Right, so and I think reality is, I think most people live conservative, even if they're liberals. Right, and what I mean by that is, there's only so much money you can borrow. And individuals don't have the ability to take money from you for themselves, right? And so you live within your means for the most part. And I think in most people, they anticipate, I think rightfully so, that every year they get a little raise, right? And that raise normally matches inflation. Now, if you're promoted, that's a different story. But most people get a raise for inflation. Last year, our little company, I got a 1.5% raise, and that was basically what inflation was, right? So why the school board and the board of supervisors, right, don't operate on that same kind of principle, right? And so again, you take into account inflation, you take into account from a board of supervisors population growth, from the school board student population growth. Then you have a realistic expectation of, we're more than happy to fund this for that, or whatever the case may be.
I'm not going to touch on the gay marriage thing because I think if I come out and say that this needs to be handled at the state and local level rather than at the federal government, and if the Supreme Court overstepped its authority, then I would simply be being divisive. So I'm not going to do it.
Well, I'll say it. So my whole thing, the whole time, is always about states' rights. Right? So we have a federal government that believes that they're a national government. And there's a big difference between the two, right? So the United States is just that. There's 50 states united in a common cause, right? We were not designed to be dictated down from this national government, right? This is a confederation of 50 states, right? And originally 13, but only 12 signed. Who's the bonehead that didn't sign? Right? But anyway, and so to me, it's always about states' rights. How much of those rights are we going to give up to this national government that's been imposed on us, not by constitutional law or by congressional action, but just by willy-nilly, either through the executive branch, who's not supposed to be making laws, or the judicial branch, who's not supposed to be making them either. So listen, we've had a great time here with Frank. And I'll be honest with you, so you and I have chatted often, both in public on Facebook, right, and in private as well, right? And the reality is, I've only met you the one time, right? And so here in the hour that we've been doing this, man, I really got to know, I think I know a lot about you now, right? So, and that's one of the things I'm hoping, this sort of video series does. One, add a little humor to somebody's life somewhere, right? But get to know some of the people sort of locally, as well. So, man, I'm impressed that you were a cop, you said an EMT and a fireman.
Volunteer firefighter in West Virginia.
Hopefully we'll have Frank back again because he's a wealth of knowledge. I didn't think he was going to be this good, right? And but we're going to have some other people as well, and hopefully maybe some different businesses and little things like that, just so that we just get to know people, right, one-on-one. Because despite the fact that Frank posts a lot on Facebook, he's really not that bad a guy, right?
I clean up nice.
So with that said, I appreciate your time on this. I'm more than welcome to provide feedback on it, on the as far as a comment on it, and we'll continue to do this more in the future, hopefully, right? So anyway, okay, thanks. I appreciate it, Frank. And that's it. Today is August the 12th, 2015. Thank you very much for watching. We greatly appreciate it. Take care.
Bye.
No, it's good.